Do you think it's fair to say that it would seem the political apathy has risen in the recent years? And if you do think that, why? Why do you think that is a reason? Why has that happened?
Partly I think it's just because we are very bad at bringing the political process to people in a way that they find it easy to use. One of my absolute frustrations is we run our elections here in the same way as we did at the end of the 19th century. If you want to vote in an election in Wales, by and large you have to make your way to somewhere probably quite inconvenient from where you live. You go into a booth that was, it's getting on for 100 years old, and you have a pencil on a piece of string attached to the wall that you use to vote with. And you do it on a Thursday. Why a Thursday? Because it was half-day closing for shop workers back at the end of the 19th century. Well, I think it's just mad. There are so many ways in which we can now run voting systems that make it much easier for people to take part in, much more connected to the way that they run their ordinary lives. Why can't we vote in Tesco's? Why can't we vote at weekends? Why don't we have mobile voting booths that turn up in your street and you can just come out and vote there? There are loads of ways in which we could bring the political process in a practical way closer to people. Personally, and much more controversially, I am in favour not of compulsory voting. I don't think anybody has to vote for anybody, but I am in favour of compulsory participation. I think that, taking part in the democratic process is a responsibility as much as it is a right, and that everybody has a responsibility to contribute to those enormous decisions that are made through the democratic process. So just as they do in Belgium, as they do in Australia, as they do in many other parts of the world, I think that when you have elections, people have a responsibility to take part in them. Now, they can turn up and they can write anything they like on the ballot paper. They can write, none of the above or whatever they like. They don't have to vote for anybody. But I do think there's an obligation on people to take part. And when you don't have that obligation, what happens is the political parties begin to look to see who out there in the community actually vote and who don't vote. And political parties stop designing policies that benefit those groups in the population who don't vote. Because if they're not going to vote and you want to win an election, what's the point of appealing to them? So I think there's a danger for young people when they don't vote. I think there's a danger for people who are less well off, who live in more pressurised, less advantaged circumstances in my constituency, who tend not to vote in the numbers that other people do. The political parties begin to stop thinking about them, begin to stop designing policies that are right for them. And I think if people were to participate, even if they didn't vote for anybody, then it would mean that political parties would have a different sort of obligation as well to make sure that they don't neglect those groups in society. So I'm in favour of compulsory participation in elections.